If you're someone who's looking for a smartphone in the 20,000 rupee price bracket, then you know there are barely any good options out there. There are some really good phones under 15,000, and then there are some value for money options above 30,000, but nothing seems to fill the void in between. Here's where the Moto X4 comes in, and after using it for over a month, I have to say that it's one of my favorite devices this year. So, what's so good about the Moto X4? Well, for starters, the looks. The Moto X4 looks absolutely beautiful in its glass and metal body. It's a huge departure from the previous Moto X smartphones, and especially in the sterling blue shade, it is an eye catcher. While I was using this as my primary device, a lot of people came up to me and asked about it. It looks and feels that good and premium in the hand, and since it has a 5.2-inch display up front, it's really easy to use in one hand. It feels nice to use something like this after using a plethora of 5.5-inch phones. Talking about that display on the front, it is an LTPS IPS panel with a resolution of 1920 by 1080. Although it's an IPS panel, it has a warm tone to it and the colors look very AMOLED-ish on it. So what I mean to say is that they are a little oversaturated and contrasty, and it reminds me a lot of the AMOLED display on my Galaxy S6. And to top this all off, the X4 is also IP58 water and dust resistant. So thumbs up to Motorola here because the phone does look and feel a lot more expensive than it actually is. Well, except for those fingerprints on the back which make you wipe your phone 24/7. But looks aren't the only thing, right? If you have a car that looks like a McLaren but has an engine from a Wagoner, you know it's gonna suck in terms of performance. Thankfully, the Moto X4 with its Snapdragon 630 and 3 to 4 gigs of RAM handles everything that you throw at it. It plays all of the games smoothly and it handles multitasking as well. That's a lot to do with the near to stock Android build that this phone has. It's currently based on Android 7.1.1 Nougat, and apart from the Moto features and some apps, there is no bloatware on the Moto X4. The Moto features are very cool and useful, and I've actually covered it in my previous video, so press the I button here to check it out. But I still have a few gripes with the software. Sometimes I could see frame drops and animations while using WhatsApp, and especially while using Facebook, which used to frequently crash for some reason. Also, if you had seen my speed test video with the Mi A1, the Moto X4 had some RAM management issues, so it didn't keep a lot of apps in the memory to save battery. It's not a huge issue as it keeps all of the usual apps in the memory except for some games, but it's something I thought I'd point out. Honestly, for me, it wasn't a big deal. And my last concern with the software is updates. Ever since Motorola has been under Lenovo, the update schedule has been sketchy. They've claimed that the X4 will get Android Oreo sometime soon, but let's see when they deliver on it. Now let's move on to the most exciting part of this phone, at least aesthetically, which is the camera. You've got a 12 megapixel dual camera setup on the back and a 16 megapixel front facing camera with an LED flash. Talking about its performance, it's a very good camera. It produces impressive photos in daylight and in indoor lighting conditions. In extreme low lighting, the performance is poor, and this is the only area where this phone lacks. There is a secondary wide-angle lens here which can shoot photos up to 8 megapixels, and it indeed does an impressive job. That secondary lens can also shoot wide-angle videos at 1080p, but if you want to switch to the primary lens, you can shoot in 4K. The front-facing camera is also one of the best I've seen on a smartphone. At 16 megapixels, it's super sharp and the lens is wide, and you have a flash to improve things in low light. There's also a 4 megapixel ultra low light mode, but honestly I didn't find it to be that useful. I've extensively covered the cameras in a separate video with the Mi A1, so click the I button here and watch that. So a Snapdragon 630 processor, dual cameras, 1080p displays sound very taxing on the battery, and the Moto X4 has a mere 3000 mAh of capacity. So how does that hold up? Well, for medium to heavy end users, the phone is going to last a full working day, but if you're an extremely heavy user, so let's say you use 4G all of the time and you continuously stream music, watch YouTube videos and so on, then you might have to run for a charger at the end of the day. But thankfully the X4 supports turbocharging, so the phone can charge up to 50% in 30 minutes, and a full charge will only take about 1 hour 15 minutes. So you can top it up fairly quickly and get going. The network reception and call quality was also good on this phone. You have a hybrid SIM slot and the speaker is situated inside the earpiece itself. It's not very loud, but then since it is forward facing, it makes the multimedia consumption better. The fingerprint sensor has also been very snappy and it works totally fine for me. So, in a nutshell, the Moto X4 sports an amazing build quality, impressive display, pure stock Android, good cameras and battery life, snappy performance, and some other add ons like fast charging and water and dust resistance. So, if you ask for my opinion, I think it's a very good smartphone for its price, and Motorola totally has a winner here. They would have completely crushed the market if they would have launched the Android One version, but sadly they didn't, and that's the only thing I don't really like about this phone. I hope Motorola doesn't disappoint on that front with regular software updates. That wraps up my thoughts on the Moto X4. I really loved using this phone, and if you liked watching this video, then definitely like and share it. If you're new here, then please subscribe for more such reviews and press the bell icon so that you don't miss out on my new videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch up with you guys in the next video.